Right, welcome back, guys. Today we're going to be listening to OK Computer by Radiohead. This is the first time we're doing Radiohead on the channel, and if you guys like it, we're tempted to do the whole journey. I think I've listened to this album before. He hasn't. I like it. It's a very experimental album, very influential in sort of British music. Sort of shifted it more melancholic. I don't really know. I think, should we just get into it?
Yeah, I guess I can find out and say what I think. So, without further ado, into track number 1, Airbag.
So, thoughts on Airbag?
Airbag did its job on this one. Obviously, literally, he said his airbag saved his life, but also I think the song was very good. And sort of painted a picture of what to expect instrumentally, I'm guessing, unless it just goes up and down.
Yeah, what did you think about the
album.
instrumentals?
But I was expecting it to be less still sort of based in certain traditional elements that it is. Obviously it still had like blips of almost like electronic sounds throughout. Yeah. Obviously they are electric guitars, don't get me wrong, but it's still traditional rock.
Yeah.
In terms of the instrumentation. But the drums were definitely interesting, like they were sort of their own sort of thing. Almost like sort of drum patterns you'd hear in like hip hop.
Yeah. No,
so
I agree.
It's like not really in one stream, it's kind of all blended throughout different genres and different emotions as well. And I thought the bass guitar was a bit interesting as well. It's like at the beginning, especially like when it was the short, like sort of staccato, it's sort of electronic sort of bass.
Yeah.
Just like dum 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 dum. But like the rest of the music was all like really blurry, like reverby. It just felt like a cool little contrast.
Yeah.
And then his vocals sort of just like, instead of taking their own rhythm and like their own sort of route, they sort of just like roots, not route, I'm not American. Not saying that ever again.
Route.
But yeah, they sort of went on their own path. Instead of going on their own path, I mean, they sort of blended in, like was melted into the instrument. Like his emotions just sort of became part of it.
Sort of similar to what Julian Casablanca does.
Yeah.
Casablanca's plural. What he does, sort of further back in the sort of sound.
Yeah, in the mix, yeah. And then it's just not even trying to make the song go anywhere else, just sort of being a part of the instrumentation. I like that.
Yeah, he's got a very like sort of soft, sort of like hallowy, like ghostly sort of vocal, which complements the tracks well. And like it is supposed to be a futuristic album, but I know that like the majority of it was like recorded like live music style. But I know
it sounded like that, to be fair.
Yeah, I know they did like a lot of like creative different shit, like recording guitar riffs in staircases and things like that to
really?
get different like reverbs and sounds on it and things like that. So
It's pretty cool.
sort of using old school methods to make it sound futuristic. So
yeah, I mean that's kind of how like sound designs come about.
Yeah.
Like originally that would have been how they did it, but like now you're just using someone else's preset of their staircase echo and you're just applying it, but it's still the same thing, really.
Yeah, it's kind of like in like filmmaking, still using practical effects instead of just CGI.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think it can come out to like a more sort of satisfying to listen or watch.
Yeah, definitely.
Kind of experience.
And it just feels obviously a lot more moulded into what they're trying to do.
And like personal.
Because it's exactly how they want it generally. Yeah. It's just a staircase, but it's the staircase that he was using. You know? Yeah. And it makes it every difference.
Another little trivia from this album is they recorded a lot of it in like a stately home, like in the countryside in the UK. I know that. So
pretty cool.
Those types of vibes, looking at a lot of old dead people paintings and stuff like that to set the mood.
And like it definitely doesn't feel very hectic, and I guess you associate that with if you're recording it in a busy city. Yeah, you know, you're getting a coffee before you're walking through crowds of people in London to get to your studio. It's like
you're in traffic and things like that.
We're just fucking monging out on a sofa. Probably had a cup of tea this morning, and we've been thinking about what we're gonna do for a few hours, and now we're finally doing it.
Yeah, and obviously, I mean,
it definitely feels different.
It was 1997, but like when you go out there, you get like no internet, no service. Exactly, you can't really talk to anyone on your phone, so it's kind of like you are just like in a bubble, and it's a bit sort of relaxing.
Yeah, and then I guess lyrically, I mean that sort of feels like it fits then, because he sort of seems like he's in his own head, thinking about obviously an airbag saving his life, driving a fast German car, wonderful brand. But
well, if an airbag saved his life, probably like a BMW or like.
But I'm wondering which one.
Yeah, I reckon.
Is he an Audi guy?
It depends what the accident is. If he's like rear-ended someone, or he's
something's telling me it's BMW.
If he's like, if someone's crashed into him because he's not used his indicator, definitely BMW.
But yeah, the way he says, "I'm in an interstellar burst, I'm back to save the universe." It's like it's almost like he's not supposed to have been saved by an airbag. This is something that's man-made, and it's like technology's provided him this gift to come back and carry on his purpose to save the universe. Yeah, that's kind of what I get from it, because that's kind of what I got from the pre-text that you sort of gave me, just in terms of it being a bit of a modern sort of album in terms of showing technology and the title of the album, OK Computer, all just suggests that it's about all the new stuff that we're unfamiliar with at this time. Obviously I wasn't even alive, but
I mean that's the interesting thing, is it is sort of speaking about like concerns about technology and the direction that's like society's heading, but then also because it's 20 years ago, it's sort of like
it's a bit mad, when you really think about it, because back then I think everyone was just excited about it really, more than concerned. Now it's like people are like, we're all in hindsight like, oh, social media and stuff is bad. Obviously social media wasn't out here, but you know what I mean, because they all like to talk about these things in the hindsight and then say, oh well, these are the bad parts about them, but it's like they kind of saw it coming. I mean, like obviously they think they're like incredibly like plugged into the internet as a society in 1997, but now when you look back at 1997, it's like, that's probably a good balance.
Childhood before the internet type thing, so it's sort of a different perspective where it's like, oh wow, you just had MySpace or whatever, like you know, what do you mean Google's not collecting every single word that you say, like so it's sort of interesting to sort of look at how people at that time thought, oh, has technology gone too far, and now it's sort of miles further than what they even anticipated it being.
It's interesting you say childhood before the internet, because like when I think about it, it's like, what is the most harmful period for us in terms of like the effect of the internet and everything, even after that, like social media. I feel like it really is in your childhood. If you could have a childhood completely separate from the fact of the internet existing and social media existing, all these new things existing, it's like, I think you're better set up to then actually use it as a positive for your life and just actually use it for being productive, making money, business, just doing your job well, more than actually just getting affected by it in the bad ways, because when you grow up with it, it's completely different. You've moulded yourself without it, generally.
Even like at our age, we're sort of like old enough to remember before
definitely.
Like Instagram and things like that was like an essential, whereas like you couldn't really imagine like what like year 2008 would have been like without Instagram and stuff like that. Like it was such like a big thing. So
but yeah, while we can still imagine our childhood without it, it's like the most important part is probably when you're a teenager and you still had it then. So
yeah,
that's probably, I think, the toughest part. But I guess we'll find out how much more silly people become as we get older, and then we can tell everyone if they've been affected by us. Anyway, getting on to track number 2, Paranoid Android.
Get an iPhone.
Yeah, dress.
So thoughts on Paranoid Android?
Well, there's a lot to unpack there because it's 6.5 minutes.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's quite hard to remember what happened at the beginning of the song when it changes so much throughout, and you get to the end and it's like, where actually did it start? What did it actually sound like at the start anymore? Kind of forgot.
Yeah, it's such a journey where it's like, I actually can't remember what it was like at the beginning.
But yeah, I know that there was definitely a big dynamic in terms of that upbeat section, which kind of entered and exited. Obviously, I remember that. So that was interesting. I wasn't expecting that, especially the first time I came in, because they were in such a melancholic sort of mood for probably the first 3 minutes straight. So definitely felt like it came out of nowhere. But I guess that's sort of the technology. Like that's like the almost motif, more than motif, because the motif's very short. But you know, what I mean, it's sort of characteristic of the technology coming in and bringing everything. That's kind of what I felt like that whole
the industrial revolution of the track.
Exactly. And then the rest of it sort of, you know, got the mood of just them disappointed about it, perhaps, or maybe the mood is supposed to just represent how life should be without the you know, technology coming in. I don't know, it's tough to tell exactly why they made the choice they made, but it definitely paints a good sort of image of like, I reckon, no technology versus technology, sort of. That's what I thought.
No, when it's because it starts out very like acoustic guitar, and then it comes in with like the like grunge, like rocky sound, and then like it comes out of that with like the harmony vocals, which is always, I think that's my favorite bit of the song. Whether it's like talking about like rain and things like that. Yeah,
and I think lyrically that's like an interesting part as well, because I mean, from the sounds of it, he might be religious, maybe I might be wrong, but saying God loves his children at the end, so.
Yeah.
That's the angle I'm going to go from. But I mean, rain down on me from very high. You know, it's just God having a piss, and He wants God to have another piss.
God does
because
have a
this
wee.
technology is just ruining that sort of thing that He's familiar with.
Maybe He's calling for
He's
a
like,
sort of.
is the world actually how it's supposed to be anymore?
Yeah.
Is this how it normally? Like, when there's last even rained, all this technology stuff gets into my head. I just want to feel a bit of rain.
Yeah.
That's to dumb it down, obviously, and really, really not make it as deep.
Maybe
as it
he's
should be.
calling
That's to
for
really shallow.
For another like Noah style flood.
Yeah, that's my shallow way of saying it. But yeah, I sort of think on a deeper level, that's sort of where he's at. It just feels like, yeah, I mean, people need to get their heads back.
Taxi driver, sort of like a rain will come and wash the streets clean.
But yeah, no, it's an interesting track for sure.
Yeah. Anything sort of like lyrically? I mean, because this is the first time that I'm listening to it with Genius, and obviously if you just listen to it, it's like some of the lyrics are like deliberately hard to sort of
Definitely
work out what they're saying, and I think it's definitely like a choice by them. It's not like
Yeah, no, it's true, and that's why it's a tough balance
Yeah.
of like how much I should be really looking at the lyrics, etc.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the song, the first couple of verses,
Yeah.
he would sort of paint a picture, and then the chorus would come in and be like, "What's that? What's that?" And I don't know if I'm completely wrong, but it's almost like as if, for example, in verse 2, where he's like, "When I'm king, you'll be the first against the wall with your opinion, which is of no consequence at all."
Yeah.
It's like he's almost predicting what society is going to become like, in terms of like the ability to defame someone almost because their opinion is online. I might be going way overboard because obviously social media wasn't out then, but if he was predicting that, bloke is pretty clever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just interesting because it's like, what's that? It's like, well, no one knows that that's going to happen. What's that?
I think
So maybe he is actually really predicting stuff.
I did find that like when I'm king, you'll be first against the wall with your opinion of no consequence at all. It's like, so when he's king, this person is going to be the first person he's going to shoot, but he's claiming their opinion is of no consequence to him. So I think it's one of those ones where it's like, oh, I don't care what you're saying, but actually you are affected. You obviously are a bit rattled by hearing all these opinions, and it's like, it's sort of aware that you shouldn't really care about what people are saying about you, but then also, if you had the ability to do so when he was king,
that makes sense. Yeah.
Shut out all the noise. So it's that sort of weird juxtaposition of like, you don't matter to me, but if I had the ability to, I'd shut you up forever. So it's sort of like, well, which is it, pal?
Yeah, the brackets sort of feed into that.
Yeah.
It's like, I may be paranoid, but not android, right?
Yeah.
But no android. It's like, I may be paranoid, so that's just the fact that, he's struggling with hearing what people are saying.
Yeah.
But then if he had the choice between an iPhone or an Android, he would not pick the Android. Just like he would if he had the choice, put them against the wall with their opinions. I feel like that's a big correlation there.
Yeah, the paranoid android thing is sort of an interesting, because it's sort of like I may be like there might be things wrong with me, but like I'm still sort of like human, Yeah. I'm not a robot. I'm not an android. Yeah. Like I might seem like I don't care. Or I might seem like things aren't affecting me, or I might seem like I'm too paranoid, but I'm still a person.
Exactly.
Because another thing that I have read about this album is that one of the big things that was really getting to Tom York, who's the lead singer, that was like causing a lot of the sadness in his life, was like going on tour with Radiohead, and like that sort of isolation that you feel when you're like on the road. You're not really like connected with like your friends and your family. You're always on the move. Like you're just doing like the same thing over and over, performing live, and then just kind of, when you're not doing that, it's just everything's sort of like grey and like lonely, and you're only really with the same like 4 people. So that was like one of the big causes of his sadness, was the sort of hectic life on tour.
Yeah, and that makes perfect sense. Doesn't sound easy to. And it seems like track 3 with the title feeds into that, to be fair, perfectly.
Yeah.
So I reckon let's get onto it. Track number 3, Subterranean, Homesick, Alien. I like the rhyming. And, in the titles, he likes doing that. Well, they like doing that, my bad. Yeah. All of them deserve credit.
Big up the drum player. The drummist.
can't smell a thing. You watch your feet for cracks in the pavement. I wish that they swoop down in a country lane late at night when I'm driving. Take me on board their beautiful ship. Show me the world as I love to see it.
So, thoughts on Subterranean, Homesick, Alien? Tough to say if you're drunk, I reckon.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I reckon it's my favourite so far, to be honest, because although it's got the least streams so far,
Yeah.
disappointed in everyone else's is for anyone else.
They're
just wrong.
It's the children who are wrong. No,
No,
I agree.
honestly,
It's a really good song.
I'm like very attracted to those sorts of sounds just in general.
Yeah.
Just like very soft sort of electronic pianos, keys, xylophones,
Yeah.
guitars with loads of reverb but not much distortion. I'm just like, I love that sort of sound in general. So.
Yeah.
Like Sheep by Pink Floyd, if anyone knows it, very similar sort of sound at the beginning of that. I love it.
I was going to say this song kind of reminds me of some Pink Floyd. Like, not necessarily too similar, but like the way that Pink Floyd can kind of deliver like really calm music and then also like really chaotic music in that same song.
It's like the way that a song, they can develop a song, I think. Just
Yeah.
the way they can just play around with like the dynamics, I think it is definitely similar.
Yeah.
Especially like his vocals as well. Like he's just very good at just going from very calm to kind of passionately angry and emotional, and then back to calm within just one chorus, and making it sound like it really just flowed and fitted in with the instrumental instead of just sounding like a bit hectic. It just really works.
Yeah, he is good at like matching.
Yeah, and the instrumental could still, stay very similar. It'd just be the drums that still start like getting faster and faster.
Yeah,
and that'd be it. Like that's all you need to do is start just doing the simple things, but really matching them up really perfectly. So
yeah,
I liked it.
A striking bit of the song, I think, is when he kind of like drops character and actually just speaks directly to his mum to let him know that he's okay, that he's like, he's going through bad times, but he's gonna be alright.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean the theme of the subterranean, homesick alien, sort of like I feel like he feels like he doesn't belong, and people don't really get him. I think it's a big vibe that he wishes that.
That's definitely
I think the music felt very like spacey. I think like the first verse is sort of more commenting on sort of like society, like pretending.
Yeah, that's what it seemed like. I
pretending that
actually
is an alien and he's sort of looking at people and sort of like not really getting them, not really understanding why people are doing things. Which is an interesting perspective, sort of like imagining you're an alien and sort of trying to understand like what a supermarket is or something like that, it's a like sort of refreshing perspective to take on things.
Probably would make you learn about how the world goes around, I reckon, if you actually thought from that perspective all the time.
Yeah,
it's just most people can't really be bothered
to you kind of
put themselves in that mindset. It's not very easy. You've got everything together to just sort of risk seeming like an outsider and eventually becoming one. So obviously I know why people don't do that, but it's interesting.
No, it's interesting when people say things are like very boring, but we actually live in a very interesting world.
Definitely.
But you just have to remind yourself to not take it for granted, I guess.
Yeah. I feel like that's like sort of as you get older, you start getting interested by more little things, really. In general.
Yeah.
Like sort of just say you were a kid, and let's just take supermarkets. Like that is just a given. It's just the thing you do. You just go with your mum to get the shopping done. You get some food. You say, "Oh, I really like that food."
Yeah.
It's actually a brand that you're actually already fucking attached to, and you're like 4.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then when you get older, you start learning about brands, marketing, supermarket pricing, oligopolies, and it's like it becomes real interesting.
Yeah.
But at the start, it's just like this is just how it's done.
It is interesting though. At one point, like when you're like 4, like the supermarket is like very exciting. You know?
Yeah, it is. Also
kids
true,
do charge around, but at some point you do lose that, and I think it takes a while to get it back.
Yeah.
You know, and I think because most kids, if you've ever been like around like a 3-year-old, they go through that phase of asking why for everything.
Yeah, exactly.
But then everyone loses it at some point. But then it's like at some point you do start to get it back a bit. I think
that's very true. I feel like when you lose it the quickest, at least, or you're so adamant about being skeptical about things, it's like when you're a teenager.
Yeah.
And just that's when you take things for granted most, in my opinion, or just from my experience. And then you sort of start to channel in some more, I guess, positive thinking about. Maybe just appreciate a couple more things here and there.
Yeah.
And then when you're older, I think when you see older people sort of, like if you've ever worked in a shop, for example, I know you've worked in a pub.
Yeah.
I mean, pub might be different, it depends on the pub, not all old people go to every pub, but for me, because I worked like a garden centre, you just sort of see people get very excited about things again when they're
old. Yeah, people are sort of unafraid to sort of be excited about things.
They actually seem more like a kid, even though they're the furthest away from one in age, than like someone who's a teenager walking in wood. So it's weird.
No, it's like I'm sure there are plenty of teenagers as well that feel excited.
That's the thing. I don't want to speak for everyone, but that's like, probably more so because they're passionate about plants specifically, not because they're just excited about things in general.
But I also feel like they probably feel social pressure to sort of pretend like they don't care more than they should.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
Bit of a tangent, but that just means it's thought-provoking music.
Exactly.
Hopefully.
All right. On to track number 4, exit music for a film, in brackets. So this is the last song, I take it?
Yeah, just don't scroll down.
Wake from your sleep, we're drying up your tears today. We escape. Keep breathing. Don't lose your nerve. Such a chill. That you choke, that you choke.
Right, so thoughts on exit music for a film in brackets.
Thank you. So, I feel like we had it all on this song. You know, we had him singing with just an acoustic guitar, very quietly.
Yeah.
Then singing with an acoustic guitar and some background sounds, like kids in the playground, but with reverse effects on them.
Yeah.
Weird stuff going on. And then we had a massive climax. Don't worry, we didn't have a massive climax.
As far as you can
climax. And then we also had him telling us how to breathe and keep breathing.
Yeah.
So we had it all. But no, I actually thought that was pretty interesting just throughout.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. So
one of my favourite songs off the album for sure. I think that where the drums slowly build up.
Yeah,
and then the drums
that was Pink Floyd, like.
And then the bass line hits, and it's just like.
Because there's not many artists that can actually make you feel like that. Like, you have to build a long tension for that,
yeah.
And that's why people who might argue, but you never need a song to be long. Sometimes
you do.
Just repeating the same cycle that you think is gonna have a drop earlier,
yeah,
and making the drop hit later, for example, that makes all the difference.
Yeah, you let people get comfortable and let them. Think they know what's going to happen, and then hit the old
and then it's like shit, it hasn't even happened yet.
Yeah,
and then when it does, it's like they're really ready for it to happen.
Yeah, that bass line hits like crack. I'm not gonna lie.
And Pink Floyd are the absolute goats of that, in my opinion.
Yeah,
but this had some parallels, but it was also very different. Of course,
I think the vocals on this one work so well as well. His sort of, ghostly, sad, melancholy voice, and then like you have those harmonies in the background as well, sort of like the church choir kind of.
Yeah, and those were weird as well because those were like digitalized.
It sounded like voices
maybe reversed as well, but it was
also
like a keyboard sort of voice effect. There was a lot of electronic stuff going on, so it's all playing into the title nicely, even though every song's context isn't always talking about it. There's always a way that it plays into it, so that's making it nice and keeping the cohesion going.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, his vocals were like really quiet in terms of him actually singing it into the mic, but obviously just in the mix they were like really loud this time, so that was also interesting.
Yeah.
Like he was probably like singing very quietly, but they probably turned up the fucking.
Yeah.
They turned up the, I can't remember what it's called.
Volume.
Not volume, because that's a post thing, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's like the receiving volume. Yeah, they turned that up a lot. But yeah, he was really just. Not even singing almost. It was technically singing, but you know what I mean?
It was like more like a whisper kind of.
Whining away.
Now, lyrically, did you get anything from it?
I got a lot of like sort of meta conclusions from it, but I can't really pinpoint what they would be for him.
This song was actually for a film.
Yeah,
it didn't end up getting used, but so they watched the film, and then they were inspired to make this song.
Yeah.
And I'll give you 10 points, and any viewer as well, if you can guess what film / famous story that it's about. This is fun trivia.
You know that I'm not gonna know. I'm just very bad in the films. So.
Well, no, it's like if I can give you a hint. It's if I said it's a Shakespeare, like based off Shakespeare. Like story.
Oh, no, it's definitely Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah,
because it's before your father hears us, before all hell breaks loose.
Exactly.
That makes perfect sense.
Bang. So yeah, it's like the 90s Romeo and Juliet. You know the one where they had like guns. I don't know if you watched that.
Yeah, no, I have to be fair.
Yeah. So they watched that and they were inspired to make this song. And then once you know that, you kind of know what the lyrics mean about, wake from your sleep. This is like obviously when Romeo stumbles onto Juliet, who is asleep, and then I don't want to spoil Romeo and Juliet for people, but yeah, it's based off that. And it is a very cinematic song as well. Like I could definitely see this being used in a film.
100%. I would say it's a shame it wasn't, but then it's almost better that it wasn't because then it's actually its own thing.
Yeah.
I feel like that can take away from something sometimes. And it's interesting because sometimes I always think like what we call a good singer versus what can be effective in a song. It's like, does it actually redefine what a good singer is? Because is he actually technically brilliant at singing? No.
Yeah.
But then someone who is technically brilliant at singing, like Beyonce, like fucking, I don't know, what's she called? Mariah Carey.
Yeah.
Like, they're not going to portray this emotion in this way because they'd never even think to.
Yeah.
So it's like, is this the same thing as being a good singer? I don't know. But it's better in this case.
Yeah, I feel like... No, I definitely
It's just a better artist, that's it. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it works better with someone almost when they aren't as good at singing, in a weird way.
Yeah, because it can
He's
feel...
still great at singing, by the way, guys.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that, but I'm talking about like the fucking pinnacle versus.
Yeah.
Like The Weeknd versus him, for example. Like The
Yeah.
Weeknd wouldn't even. I can admit he would never make a song like quite like this. It wouldn't sound the same.
Yeah. I think sometimes when like a voice isn't like perfect and it's
Maybe
not,
it's
like,
more relatable, I guess. That's
yeah,
what
it
is,
feels more human and more like real.
Yeah.
When people are just sort of, you know, putting themselves out there, and I think that's what a lot of like English and like British singers do really well.
That's true.
Like they're all not afraid to sort of come on and just be themselves and not like hide behind classically trained vocals. They can go out there and, you know, really have a lot of charisma. Let down. Right, so thoughts on Let Down? Did it let you down or?
No, it didn't let me down, but it sounded like there were a lot of things getting let down, including perhaps him.
Damn.
No, it feels interesting that you use the sort of, I don't know what the word is, but yeah, the example to be jarring of bugs and like snails with their shells getting crushed, flies with their wings getting, what was it, the word, fixed or something, twitching wings, yeah. Just like, if you think about it, bugs are kind of just doing their job, actually helping out on a small micro level, but in the macro level makes all the difference.
Yeah.
Because the macro level is comprised of the micro level. And then we just come along and like, stamping them.
Yeah.
It's like, that's it. They've been let down. That's like the fucking definition of being let down.
Yeah.
So I like that example.
Therefore, as a kid, I did used to smash a lot of bugs and things without remorse.
To be fair, when I was a kid, I was actually a bit like, sometimes I went through phases where I was like, you know what? This is a nice little bug. So
I'm like that now. I try.
I was actually thinking, I was more like that when I was like a young kid, I'd say.
Yeah.
Then, like, when I was a teenager, didn't really care. But I didn't find it that funny to stamp on bugs. Obviously, that's kind of past the age. But
yeah.
And now I'm kind of, I'm very back to appreciating what I used to do and just allow them.
Yeah.
Make a little home for them.
Yeah. But, I mean, I guess it's sort of like an interesting one where it's kind of like a human can smash up a bug with minimal effort. And I guess it's sort of like, I don't know, maybe like the machine of society can smash up a person, no problem.
Yeah, definitely.
Get chewed up and spit out.
100%. But yeah, no, it's just very, very well done.
Yeah, another sort of spacey, futuristic, but still keeping that like acoustic feel to it.
Yeah. And then sort of coming out again at the end with the R2D2.
Yeah.
But it's kind of following a theme of like displaying the sadness of it and then just reminding you of it, you know. So the first song, it was like, it wasn't the first song, it was the second song, right, where that was sort of instrumental, heavy hitting instrumental distortion came in. That was like the technology coming in, and like you could say the same about this. It's like they introduce you at the end to just remind you that this is the bitch that we're talking about. Sort of.
This is the
here's the problem that's been caused, and here's who did it or what did it. That's kind of what it feels like.
Yeah.
So I like that.
Yeah. I do feel as though this album doesn't really try to come with too many sort of solutions.
No, definitely not.
It more looks at problems because, like, sort of, it's not saying too much different to like what Rage Against the Machine are saying.
No, it's very similar, to be fair.
But then Rage Against the Machine come with the message after that, like you need to get angry, you need to burn it down, you need to flip over a police car. Whereas this is more.
Yeah, when was that album?
That was, I think, I want to say like 1992. So.
Yeah, it was earlier, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So clearly they were ahead of the game and trying to solve the problem. No, yeah, no, this is more just, I mean, the title was OK Computer. It's not OK Computer, fuck you, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to do something about it. It's just not OK Computer.
It's not sort of fuck computers. It's more sort of,
it's like, I see what you're doing there, but I don't like it.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like it's just pointing out problems. It's not really trying to say too much about like what you need to do. It's kind of, I don't know,
which probably gives it a wider appeal to us.
Yeah,
because Rage Against the Machine is very teenage, grr feeling, you know.
No, defo.
So that definitely that was more of it's a bit extreme to say, but more of a cult sort of atmosphere. Not quite cult, but that's what I'm getting at.
The kind of music you'd hear at a riot.
Yeah, exactly. Like you feel like part of it. You are involved. This is a big protest. This is just like here's what's happening. It's probably affecting you too, I'd imagine. And
this is more
well on it a little bit. Maybe dance your solutions.
More music for people that sit down in the shower.
Yeah, but no, I can like this could connect with anyone of any age.
Yeah,
so that's a good part about it.
It's more like the sort of pat on the back. I hear you, you know,
which could make it more timeless as well.
Yeah.
So it really is Radiohead ahead of the game, not Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah. Maybe they're both
the biggest artist rivals I've ever come across.
Who would win in a fight?
Alright. Yeah, let's get on to track number 6, Karma Police.
So thoughts on Karma Police?
I thought they did a very good job of really getting to a climax musically,
Yeah.
but very gradually and very piece by piece. It wasn't any sort of wave of up and down. It was actually just a gradual. And they haven't really done that yet on this album, to be fair. It's more been in phases. This has been like quite, just a little slope, you know.
Yeah.
So I liked that. I liked the ending again, sort of what I said, like the disruptor, the technology coming back in, like
Yeah, this one is particularly like kind of like abrasive on the ears. I feel like
definitely. And I just think sort of going from almost micro to macro with the lyrics and also with the music at the same time.
Yeah,
it's very effective. Just like Karma Police arrest this man, so it's just talking about one man, then arrest this girl, talking about one girl. And then at the end, he's sort of just thinking about the bigger picture. Like, for a minute, I lost myself. Like, his whole way of thinking is sort of wrong. I don't know. Yeah.
I find it's easy to sort of like lose yourself in the song as well, and then you kind of find yourself. I don't know, for me, I always find myself like kind of tuning back into what he's saying, sort of around that I lost myself. I was like, oh shit, I lost myself in the music.
Yeah, 100%. I did. Well, another angle.
Yeah.
No, that's definitely true.
But yeah, lyrically, like again, this is like the first time when I'm reading it and I'm like thinking like, who are the Karma Police? And like what they're trying to say, and it's quite a tough one for me. I can't really work out what they're going for. If it's like some kind of like 1984 kind of picture they're trying to paint with the police, where it's like, oh, this person's doing something I don't like, take them away. But it's hard to tell really. Is it sort of like the anti-technology police, like arrest this guy, he talks in maths, like...
Yeah, that's what I thought at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
That made sense to me. It's just like, where's his soul?
Like he's like a secret robot, like it's like Blade Runner or something like that.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's going for that angle later on in the song though.
Yeah, it's really tough because later on it's almost like it turns it on its head and it's the opposite way around. It's just like...
Yeah.
If you're gonna, like, say Karma Police is like the police of what the machine wants, for example.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily right and wrong like Karma is, but it's just right for us and wrong for us.
Yeah.
And it's like you can complain about all this technology, but you're still on the payrolls of big companies, etc. I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's like it's almost completely different to how I was thinking of it at the beginning. But I still, because they're contrasting, I'm not really getting a good picture of it because it wouldn't make sense to have both exist in the same.
This is one where I might have to read the Genius for it later.
Yeah. No. We haven't ever done that on video, by the way. So
no.
We're pure. But we
I feel like that takes away from it a bit. So.
Yeah, definitely first listen, I think it does. I think you got to keep your sort of curiosity up there.
Yeah, it's fun to like make your own sort of predictions.
Sometimes make them outlandish as well.
Yeah.
I find that quite fun. But no, it was very instrumentally well sort of paced out song. And it matched, the tone matches the music as well. It's just, what quite the lyrics meant. But that's not a problem. There's no problem with that.
No.
And sometimes it's a good thing. If you just realise exactly what something means the first time, it can only get so much better, if any better at all.
Yeah.
So I'm not complaining.
It takes away from the replay value, and it's just like if you're just getting spoon-fed the answers as well, it's not that fun.
100%. On to track number 7, Fitter Happier. I'm surprised there's not like a comma in between that, like fitter and happier. Or fitter and happier, but no, it's just fitter happier.
Fitter happier. Maybe that will be revealed why upon pressing the play button.
Yes.
Fitter, happier, more productive, comfortable, not drinking too much, regular exercise at the gym, 3 days a week, getting on better with your associate employee contemporaries, at ease, eating well, no more microwave dinners and saturated fats, a patient better driver, a safer car, baby smiling in backseat, sleeping well, no bad dreams, no paranoia, careful to all animals, never washing spiders down a plug hole, keep in contact with old friends, enjoy a drink now and then, will frequently check credit at Moral, Bank, Hole in Wall, favors for favors, fond but not in love, charity standing orders, On Sundays reading Road Supermarket. No killing moths or putting boiling water on the ants. Car wash, also on Sundays. No longer afraid of the dark or midday shadows, nothing so ridiculously teenage and desperate, nothing so childish. At a better pace, slower and more calculated. No chance of escape. Now self-employed, concerned, but powerless. An empowered and informed member of society. Pragmatism, not idealism. Will not cry in public. Less chance of illness. Tires that grip in the wet. Shot of baby strapped in backseat. A good memory. Still cries at a good film. Still kisses with saliva. No longer empty and frantic. Like a cat. Tied to a stick. That's driven into frozen winter shit. The ability to laugh at weakness. Calm. Fitter. Healthier. And more productive. A pig. In a cage. On antibiotics.
Right. Thoughts on that? I'm gonna call it a song, but it's not really a song. I don't
It's
know.
like a robot monologue.
Yeah.
It was very interesting. Probably a predictable thing to say.
But I mean, it is interesting.
It is interesting.
Yeah. You could use intriguing.
Intriguing. You could use intriguing. I might
I feel like
diversify my vocab.
That's a bit of a pretentious word.
But yeah. Fitter, happier, more productive. In general. Seems like a good message, but I guess at the beginning, at least with this monologue, it sort of starts going to the extremes and just like the specifics, and it just sounds like you're absolutely controlled in every action of your life, which I agree. Like some things, I feel like that because there's lots of things you're being told to do all at once, and they're all little things, and it's like, when are you gonna just breathe a little and just sort of fucking live your life a little?
Yeah.
But then it almost went sort of in the other direction, describing, I don't know, sort of like a realisation of what you value more. Sort of, maybe it's like this is like a young adult becoming an old adult. I don't know. I can't really tell, but that's how I saw it. It's like, now you're self-employed and concerned, but you are powerless, which is what you valued before, not being powerless. But now you're empowered and informed member of society.
Yeah.
Pragmatism, not idealism. I feel like pragmatism is more common among older people, and idealism is more vouch for when you're younger because you want the best. So I feel like you definitely get more pessimistic as you get older naturally. So that's what I got from it, just overall sort of,
Yeah.
development of how you think, just based off of where you are in life, sort of.
For me, it's always been sort of the way they paint the picture is it's like the sort of journey to becoming like a model citizen, you know.
Yeah,
You're on
that
that,
makes perfect sense as well.
like, you're on that road, like, oh, you know, I'm going to the gym 3 times a week, and everyone's like, oh, well done, that's really good job. And it's like, I'm not drinking too much, I'm keeping in contact with friends. All kind of things sort of like preach to be like good mental health, but then with the voice they choose to use and the music in the background, it's very like sinister.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think it's sort of like the meaning is revealed at the end with like a pig in a cage on antibiotics.
course,
Everything
yeah.
that you do is just sort of like,
Prescribed.
yeah, you're doing it like you're being a good little pig in the cage. You know,
Yeah,
you're not
100%.
like, it's the kind of song that makes you want to burn down your house and like, I don't know, just abandon everything because like, yeah, all you're doing when you think that you're looking after yourself is kind of just becoming a better servant of the system.
Exactly.
So it's quite a depressing song
It is definitely.
for me.
But maybe it's sort of a thought you have to just face from on.
Yeah, because it's one of
Otherwise
those
you will
things.
just let yourself get absorbed in the
Yeah,
system.
like there's nothing wrong with, you know, going to the gym and being happy and like, you know, looking after yourself, driving a sensible car. There's nothing wrong with any of those things, really.
Yeah.
If you're happy at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think the big difference is doing it for the right reasons. Like,
Yeah,
if you would do it without the people you were telling to do it in the first place and who were rewarding you for doing it in the first place, then it's a good thing. But I think it's just, you know, I think a lot of those things start out for a lot of people not necessarily coming from within, more so
yeah,
because it's just the thing you should do, sort of thing.
yeah,
And I guess that's kind of why the people who say, so let's just use the gym for example. People who go to the gym in the start and then they're fast forward, they're 70 and they're still going to the gym. Those are probably the people who actually started going to the gym because they really just wanted to go to the gym.
Yeah.
And they actually really loved it in the end, etc. But then there's a whole bunch of people who sort of went to the gym to sort of problem, and they thought that was the way to solve the problem.
Yeah.
And then when they sort of aged past caring about that problem anymore, they just stopped going, and the problem comes back, but they don't really care anymore.
Yeah.
That's kind of just an example.
Yeah, it's like the sort of like the nihilistic sort of criticism, like, you know, why go to the gym to look after your health? Like, we're both going to die, you know.
Yeah.
But then it's like, well, what kind of life do you want to live? Do you want to live sort of not? And like, it's not just the gym point they're making; it's all of them.
Yeah, exactly.
Really, you know, like keeping up with old friends. It's like, well, like that's not really, you know, at the end of the day, you're never going to be friends with everyone forever.
Exactly.
But like, if it's still worth it to form meaningful connections with people.
Yeah.
So like, it's easy to look at things nihilistically, but things are important, you know. It's not really a bold statement to make, but sometimes you do forget it. But,
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I think there's truths to what not he, because it's the fucking robots,
Yeah.
but probably through his thoughts, of course, because he
Yeah.
computerised the robot to do it. Right. But
Fucking devil time.
yeah, no, it's definitely a balancing of, you know, some of them are a bit too nihilistic, and
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not the thing itself is inherently nihilistic, but the extent to which you take it as a fact or take it on board is,
Yeah.
like, yeah, with like the seeing old friends, like, it's true, you probably shouldn't try and reconnect with everyone you've ever been a friend with ever, because you know, they're not really going to care about you. They've probably got close friends, you've probably got close friends, and in the end you're going to spend too much time trying to do that, and it's not really going to provide you value.
Yeah.
It should, but obviously don't not see any of them ever again either.
Yeah.
So it's just sort of, just sort of somewhere in the middle, but it's laying it out for you, it's laying out the extremes for you.
Yeah. I think it's sort of like it kind of feels like very like teenage rebellion kind of things,
definitely.
where it's like when your parents or something like that, where it's like people want you to do X thing because it's good for you, but then you don't want to do it just because they want you to do it type
Perfect
of
example, yeah.
behaviour. It's that kind of thing where it's like there's no, like, don't cut off your nose to spite your face, basically.
Yeah.
Is the counter argument that I'd come with to this song when they're saying things are pointless and you're just a good little pig in the cage.
Yeah.
I'd say, well, I don't know. This is sort of like the Matrix. It's hard to really say what I want to say, but I don't know. I'm not nihilistic, basically. Whereas this song is, but I still think it's thought-provoking.
Right, on to track number 8, Electioneering.
thoughts on electioneering?
Thought it was about electioneering.
Yeah.
No, but it definitely was quite interesting. It's not enough I've not heard before when people sort of talk about, sort of the idea of disagreeing on something so much, but eventually you'll meet in the middle on something, or just being very different in so many ways, but eventually there's going to be something that you sort of find in common. That's what I get from when I go forwards, you go backwards, and somewhere you'll meet.
Yeah.
And I think that's just an important thing to sort of remember throughout all of, just anything you think, and someone else disagrees with you, and does not mean you should never bother spending any time with that person. That's sort of what I get from it.
Yeah.
And it can be on a wider scale as well, with obviously entire populations of people voting and populations who support certain parties more than others.
Yeah.
It's you can actually still be friends with a Conservative if you support the Labour Party, etc. Other way around too.
Yeah.
I think it's important to just keep the human element alive and not just depend on, agreeing with people and what you believe just so that you can be friends with them. Sort of thing. That's not necessarily what the bigger message was, but that's what I took from it and what I related to from it the most.
Yeah. I want to say in 1997 when this came out, I think there was an election that year. So obviously it was inspired by the election cycle, if I'm not waffling. Tony Blair won that one, I believe. So I think, it's just sort of distaste for another thing in society being the election. I think the first verse is the striking one to me. I will stop at nothing. I'll say anything. Just to I think they end all the verses on I trust I can rely on your vote. So it's it's all about just that claw for power and politicians being quite slimy, most of them. Just sort of endlessly trying to climb the ladder.
Yeah.
And having no morals and principles to hold them back.
Yeah.
That kind of vibe is, I think, his distaste. And then I think in the second verse he puts cattle prods on the IMF in the same sentence, which is a mean stick that you use to move cows around, they tase a cow in the arse or whatever, compared to fucking getting countries to liberalise their trade barriers and things like that. So it's just an interesting comparison.
Yeah, definitely.
Scathing take on elections and democracy.
Yes.
But I think instrumentally it's kind of a sort of fun, upbeat kind of we're on the election path kind of, Yeah,
everyone's loud. Everyone's voicing their opinions. That's what, I guess I found in this room. There's a cool sort of guitar that it was very bouncy.
Yeah, it's kind of sort of western kind of cowboy kind of hitting the trail kind of vibe to me.
Yeah, no, I really liked it.
Yeah. I think an instrumental like that is kind of needed for me after listening to Fitter and Happier, just to make sure that I don't pop myself before I get to the end of the album.
Well, on to track number 9, Climbing Up the Walls.
thoughts on climbing up walls or climbing up the walls?
I was quite just lost in sort of the whining,
Mm.
not negatively.
Yeah.
And the whole instrumental,
Yeah.
very distorted lyrics, obviously, and I feel like that definitely makes me feel more comfortable with the fact that I didn't really read that much into the lyrics, because it doesn't seem like you're supposed to really hear exactly what he's saying at every moment, because it's so distorted anyway. But I probably should have anyway.
Yeah.
But no, it's very, very, drew me in.
Yeah, it's another sort of like haunting song.
It was almost like the drums were like, you know, like when you sometimes having a dream, or like what would be more of a nightmare, and you like trip over and someone's chasing you, and you just trip over at every moment, or like you're in like fucking quicksand, like it feels like you're in quicksand.
Hate those dreams.
It's almost like that. It's almost like the drums were like really slugging along, like really trying to catch up.
Yeah.
Quite effective because of just how slow and heavy they were.
Oh yeah, cool way of describing it.
Cheers, man. Yeah, I don't know if you've got any sort of.
Yeah,
Intuition
again, this is like
lyrics.
one where listening to it before, I never really paid too much to the lyrics, just because it's more just like, I feel as though it's more about the atmosphere
Yeah,
than the lyrics.
and the atmosphere was absolutely electric.
Never experienced anything like it.
No, it was really good though.
Yeah.
And once again, the technology, the disruptor, coming in at the end. So they've been really repeating that theme.
Yeah.
On to the next one. Track number 10, No Surprises.
Right, so thoughts on No Surprises?
My thoughts are that I also don't like alarms.
Yeah, very abrasive, especially iPhone alarms.
Yeah. But I still need them.
Yeah,
Maybe that's the point.
yeah,
But yeah, no, I thought that was a very melancholy song.
yeah. It's very gentle.
And I thought he was very sort of, he's grieving over the fact that he has alarms in his life. No, I'm joking. He's just grieving about, how he's feeling, but he's at the stage of grief, I feel like, where he's kind of accepting it. That's why he's so melancholy, he's so quiet, just fizzling away. with the music. It's night time to go to sleep.
Yeah.
AKA he's even ready to go to sleep for real.
Life's gone down.
Yeah.
Quite a bit.
That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
And obviously the carbon monoxide handshake does suggest that.
Mm. Yeah. That first verse, like the metaphor, a heart that's full up like a lamp. Well, it's not a metaphor, simile. Sorry, English teacher. I was going to say that is like a simile that I feel like an English teacher would love.
Yeah, no, 100%.
That, you know, fill up like a landfill, conjuring images of rubbish.
In my arteries.
Yes. But yeah, I mean, it's funny how I said earlier that they don't really try give too many answers, but then in this one they do expressly mention bringing down the government, which
yeah, no, definitely
is something. But like, it's such like a strange line in the context of the whole song, where it's kind of more about sort of like giving up almost, and kind of going and having a lie down.
Yeah.
And I think the sort of no alarms and no surprises bit is kind of like a bit meta about the song, because this song, there is no crazy like beat switch, you know, there's no sudden introduction of a heavy bass line or crazy drums or anything like that.
Definitely took it literally in terms of the instrumental as well.
It does stay calm. There's no surprises in this one. I think it's like, it's kind of like aware of where people's heads might be at this point in the album, and kind of letting them have a bit of time off.
Yeah.
And enjoying this sort of gentle music as you fall into your carbon monoxide induced coma.
Yeah. Yeah, with the bit where he's like bringing down the government even though he's all tired.
Yeah.
So it's like he's been spending his whole life so far thinking about how he could help bring down the government, and it's like, no, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
Fucking you guys do it for
Yeah,
me.
you do the government bringing down, I'm going to go.
'Cause I still wanted it to happen, but it just
didn't,
and it probably can't with me. That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, very big lull musically. Not lol, lull.
Wow. Important distinction.
Definitely. On to track number 11. Lucky. Put into a sentence. You guys are so lucky to be watching this YouTube channel.
Damn.
I'm on a roll. I'm on a roll. This time
Right, so thoughts on Lucky?
I feel lucky to have heard Lucky.
Wow.
No, it was one of the strongest songs on it, I think. Especially instrumentally. Just, everything glued together perfectly.
Yeah. You do get lost in that one.
Yeah. And, as I said, during it, Pink Floyd vibes on that one for sure. Like,
definitely.
By far the strongest Pink Floyd connection I've made.
It's that guitar.
Yeah, it's exactly the same as the guitar that starts off Dark Side of the Moon. Well, after the fucking paranoid part, but when the real music starts.
Yeah.
And that just made me instantly say it. And then afterwards it became even more Pink Floyd from then, so that's interesting.
Yeah. No, huge Pink Floyd vibes.
Yeah.
I think vocally it's a very good song as well. Like
definitely. When I say it glued all together, I think he was the one that made it glued together so well.
100.
Like when he went from the verses to the choruses, where he's like, "Pull me out of the air crash."
Yeah.
The drums would sort of like then kind of meet with him and start right along with him. So that's just felt very well produced. I don't know what to say. Just sort of, he did a good job of that.
Good song.
A very
Me
good song.
like. No, I agree. I like it as well.
So, who is Sarah?
Yeah, that's the thing. This is like that's another sort of slip of the mask.
Yeah.
Almost. Don't know if he actually did have a relationship with someone called Sarah. Don't know, but potentially, and that would be interesting.
Seems fitting. And I mean, the way he just sort of like takes off the mask just once or twice on the album.
Yeah.
That's what makes it so effective. He knows how value works.
Yeah.
Scarcity.
The scarcity of it, yeah. Definitely makes it impactful.
Yeah, if it's like, I don't know, Alex Turner waffling about all his exes, it's like he's been doing it all the album.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, I don't really care who Shaniqua is, because you've also talked about Jemima too in the same song, so it's like, it just loses its value. But he's just said Sarah, just one simple word.
Yeah.
And he just said mum, just once.
If you
and those two times, it's like, right, this is really him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if you break the fourth wall too much, you can kind of destroy your whole sort of meaning, even in times that you aren't, and it devalues all the times that you have done previously.
100%.
So, yeah, but using it carefully every now and again can really have an impact.
Yeah, it can like amplify sort of how people view music.
Yeah.
Because it's like, he's sort of talking from the point of being an artist, obviously, with all of these songs.
Yeah.
And obviously the emotion's relatable, but you don't really know what it is he's emotional about a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Apart from the more meta stuff, but obviously everyone can relate to that. But then when he whips out, Sarah, which most people would probably see as an ex or something, and it's like, shit, he did also go through heartbreak. I can relate to that.
Yeah.
It's the fact he only does it once, that's what makes it pretty powerful.
Yeah.
Alright, getting on to the ultimate track number 12, The Tourist. My ready meal's ready. I've defrosted my chicken.
Finally, I can make pasture bake. So, thoughts on The Tourist?
I feel like I became the tourist
Damn.
in The Tourist, because I felt like I was just exploring my entire mind, thinking about random stuff, because the music was just drowning me.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. I was along a similar line.
Yeah, it's effective when music can do that to you.
Yeah.
And it always tends to be the one that does it to you most is always the last one as well.
Yeah.
Well, in a good album, obviously, when the artist's good at doing it. Obviously,
Yeah.
if it's a shit album, they probably can't make you do it in the first place, but you know what I mean. Assuming it's a very good album, which it feels like, it's a feeling like I was drowning in the music.
Yeah. I think, that the ending where it's just you hear the slow down,
Yeah.
all that. It's just, yeah.
I just felt like an idiot, really.
It's hard to imagine him going at 1,000 feet per second though. I feel like he's quite a slow,
Yeah.
more relaxed paced type of
Definitely.
person. So it'd be interesting to see what he's like off a Monster Energy drink.
Definitely.
But yeah, a good fitting outro, I think, to a very good album for me.
100%. Yeah, I didn't pay a ton of attention to the verses, but
Mm.
yeah. I don't know.
You don't always
The
have
music's
to.
brilliant. So
Yeah.
that's what it is. And it's not like he said an awful lot either, so
No.
most of it was just the chorus.
Sort of, more like a lyrically sort of sparse 1, 2
Definitely.
verses and 5.5 minutes type of.
And small verses, couple
Yeah.
sentences.
Yeah. Which is effective.
Definitely.
So, should we move on to thoughts on the album as a whole?
Let's do it. So, I thought that the album took me on a journey,
Mm.
which resulted in me being the tourist,
Damn.
and I enjoyed my holiday very much.
You enjoyed your holiday?
And yeah, I'm not going to go through every song, but yeah. Point is, I feel like it definitely went on a cohesive sort of,
Yeah.
yeah. There was minimal clutter or contrast, peace at the beginning, and then it was like a lot of discourse, and then it came back to sort of just
Peace.
peace.
Yeah. Yeah, I
And that's
think
always
you see that in the first few songs, like especially the first song and the last song. It's like very lyrically sparse, like
Yeah.
not too many verses, not too many choruses. Whereas in the middle it's sort of more dense, but so it kind of starts out gentle and then ends gentle.
Yeah. It's cyclical.
Yeah,
I think all good albums tend to be cyclical, whether they were intended to be or not. Just
Yeah.
'cause I think, just as a listener, it's just pleasant to sort of come back to it, like arrive back where you started in some sort of way. Like,
Yeah.
in terms of at least how the music feels.
and I think it also means that the artists are like aware of what they're doing as well.
Yeah,
They know
no,
what
definitely.
techniques they were using in the first song,
Yeah.
and they know how to recreate that in the last. So it feels more deliberate.
Yeah. And it just makes it feel a bit more complete.
Yeah,
Just as how you got sort of some closure
yeah,
on how it was making you think, perhaps, and you can sort of leave knowing that you can come back to it and have the same sort of thought process again.
mm.
So that's quite nice. So yeah, I think that sums it up.
Yeah.
And I think
Is it-
so you've gone through in detail each track, so I don't need to.
Yeah. Is it time to apply the number
I
to
think
it?
it's time to put the number. Shall I actually just do my number first for once? Can not be a massive person.
Yeah, you can do your number.
I'm gonna give this a strong 9 out of 10.
I was gonna give it a 9 as well. So yeah, no, there's not a single instrumental in the album that like doesn't impress me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's like very like well pieced together, and like yeah, it gives you like Pink Floyd vibes and sort of how sort of carefully created it
Yeah.
all feels.
And I can almost like his personality. He's very good at just portraying his personality,
Yeah.
and really making himself feel relatable. Not even necessarily through the lyrics, it's like just throughout, just the way he.
Yeah, his delivery is like incredibly.
Yeah, it's his delivery,
unique.
his vocals are just really human. They feel very human, and not in a bad way, but.
Yeah.
He's very effective at just actually feeling like.
Yeah, slow and like he's not afraid to like go slow.
Yeah.
And like draw out words and.
Yeah,
things
and
like
like
that.
whine a bit emotionally, sort of when he's singing. Croaky at times, definitely intentional. All those things they all play into just it feeling very relatable.
Yeah, he feels very like vulnerable.
Yeah, 100%. So I guess let us know what you think.
Hope you enjoyed the video as much as we enjoyed the album.
Tell us if we waffled a bit much. I appreciate. Typically, when we listen to like the ones we end up rating higher, we actually have waffled an entire amount of randomness and waffle every song. So let us know if it's too much. But we would just be in sort of ourselves, you know.
Yeah.
So also, fuck you if you think it's too much.
Yeah. Piss off.
And let us know if you want us to go through all of their stuff. I know you've heard at least 3 of their albums. Is it 3 or is it more?
Yeah, I think it's 3 I've done like the big 3.
The big 3. But let us know if you want us to start from the beginning. I feel like this made sense because I hadn't heard it, but you had, so there was some sort of, pre-context for me at least.
Yeah.
But then now, if you want us to go for it, dive back, then that'd be pretty cool. But if you don't, then tell us what else you want.
Yeah.
Because we've rapidly run out of ideas already.
Yeah, we have got some good suggestions as well.
We've got a couple.
So, waffling on the outro as well.
Yeah. I think we've put ourselves in the mood. It's probably our fault, yes. We've set the tone of waffle and we proceeded with more waffle. So it's quite hard to get out of that spiral.
So I think we should just go for it.
Yeah. So hit the like button or the dislike button. It's up to you, to be fair. There are both.
Yeah.
And subscribe. That is not up to you.
You don't get a say on that, sorry.
And see you next time. Bye.